Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey there, welcome to Uncovered. I'm really excited to uncover an amazing human. We've been watching each other on social media for quite a while now, and this is our first time actually having a physical chat, or not a physical chat, a virtual chat. Welcome to Uncovered, Osman. I'm really looking forward to chatting to you today.
Thank you for having me. And like you said, we have been knowing each other, but we never got to talk. So great to talk. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. So, Osman, tell us about what you do. I know that you do hypnotherapy. You're really good at helping, clients and businesses. What is it that you actually do so the listeners can know?
Great question. And that's one thing that I find also difficult to explain is uh, I am someone that can become whatever you need. And this sounds maybe bogus but that's what I have been doing. My whole life, I have been trying to blend in, learn various knowledge. So on the front end, I'm a hypno consultant. I do consulting in terms of business growth, but also use hypnotherapy when it comes to helping people with traumas or limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I love that. And you're definitely not alone here, Osman. With what you just explained is exactly what people would say about me. Go and see this guy. I'd figure out what was going on and help people solve it. And it's one of those things. It's quite hard in a lot of the time in personal development to actually explain yourself and what you do, because what I'm hearing from you is you've got a very similar trait to me, which is you're diverse, so you can't be pinned down. Would you agree?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I try to stick with one thing. I can't.
No.
I have the need for the diversity, different topics, different people, problems as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think this is one of the hardest things. And let's talk to this as well. When you start in business, you always get a coach telling you to niche, telling you to say, hey, you need to work with this type of client, this type of person. And
Mhm.
for people like you and I, it just doesn't work because we get bored. Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, it's one of the things that I find annoying because I'm one of those coaches as well. To be honest, I tell my client, especially if you're beginning, uh, find someone where people can pinpoint you to it. But for me, when I tried it, I felt huge friction. I was like, I'm just gonna switch around. But I believe there is something to it that works for certain people, but not for us, like you said.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing, listeners, is if you're that sort of person that's a bit of a jack of all trades and it's not master of none, it's master of many. And so
Hmm.
what happens with people like Osman and I is that you'll try and get coached by someone who will tell you and try to put you in a box. And if you're that person who can't be put in a box, you're going to end up being frustrated and you're going to end up feeling unheard, unvalued, and not really, and feel a little bit lost because you're like, how can I actually get into this industry when someone's trying to tell me the exact sheet based formula for a person who's a black sheep, who doesn't run by the rules. And I think this is
Mm,
really important, Osman, because a lot of people get lost in this. You have to find your thing, dentist,
mm.
whatever it is that you choose, and then that's who you are. And I think for someone like you and myself to be boxed actually feels restraining. It feels like you're stuck in a jail. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I so I don't know your how you rolled into the business, but my journey was I started in 2020. I stopped my cybersecurity consulting job, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do what I have been for over a decade, helping people. And then I got into the online world. Like you said, I hired a coach who had a certain model, just copy paste promises. And I realized this is not for me. So it took me some quiet time to learn certain things and to own this. I mean, when I look at your posts, when I we haven't known each other, when I look at it, I'm like, this dude is not this. This is not a normal person. Like most people wouldn't share what you're sharing or the way you're sharing. So I enjoy your posts, and I'm like, yeah, this is also what attracts him. That's why like I can see that you're having fun in a way where you're not afraid of people would shame you or laugh at you, and I find that admirable.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, being yourself is what people don't know how to do. And I really, people are, they do a video and they cut it and make it perfect. And I just don't do that because I think being real is more important and actually having a way that you approach. And, I'm not sure about what you do, Osman, but all the work that I've done is completely different to what's in the world. So I'm always, I post something that can be a little bit triggering because
Hmm.
it's sort of got a little bit more maybe depth to it or a little bit of a different spin to what everyone's spinning. And I think
Yeah,
that can be really challenging for a lot of people because I challenge people, the way that they think, the way that they understand. I really appreciate what you've said there. And I think you have a certain way about you too that, really amazing connection to God. And, you really have an amazing faith. But that doesn't stop you from helping just the general person. And this is what I really love about you as a human being. You're not afraid to share that you're really connected to your core understanding beliefs. At the
of
same
course.
time, you're not going to let that hold you back from helping every person on the planet, which is the truth of God. God would never ever distinguish, oh, you don't believe, so I can't help you. And this is one thing I've noticed about you is that you have a really strong faith. And I love that about people, that they're really strong in their faith. At the same time, you're really open, which a lot of
Yes.
people don't know how to do that when they're connected to religion. And this is what I really admire about you as a human. This is what I've noticed
Thank,
anyway.
no, I appreciate that. And it took me some time to find that delicate balance because there are a group of people who are religious and they're afraid of. So when you're exposed to certain things for too long and your faith isn't strong, you get shaky foundations, right? If if you're around smokers, you're gonna end up smoking. If you're around gamblers, you're gonna end up, right? Unless you have that strong character, faith, then you can prevent it from happening. I started when I was 15 with helping people, and I didn't know that I was helping them. And I end up really in a very diverse group. There were black sheep, people from all over the world with one purpose. Let's save one person a day. And they really taught me to put religion and the rules of religion aside and say, you know what? This person came to me. What if God sent this person to me? Regardless of how they look, what they want. If I can make this person's life, even if it's just a little bit better, then I have done my part. That's why, like, yeah, I'm a Muslim, but 90% of my clients are either not religious or they used to be practicing Christians. And so for me, it's really about I worked with people who were, I don't know what they call it, cis. I worked with people that were not straight, that were outcasted. So for me, that really it showed me if you as a person are not open to hearing them and just seeing them and trying to understand, then the world won't change because everyone is just gonna talk. They're not gonna, the three monkeys. I believe the majority of people have now become deaf, blind, and just yell at the things that if someone doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, I love that. And I think this is really, really common is that I find this as well. Like I've been helping, I've been running my own business since 1998. And what I find, Osman, is that the more experience someone has, the deafer they become. And it's really, really interesting because they get these core beliefs, whether it's religion or whether it's what they do as their mastery. And if you do something different, then I don't agree with what you do, right? Whereas for me, hypnotherapy, for example, I don't do it, but I
Mhm.
look at people and I go, that person right here, if I knew someone who needed hypnotherapy and a different way of approaching from what I'm just hearing, is you're the person who I would recommend because you're open, you're not stuck in a box. And these are the type of people that I want. And I know that they're going to find solutions to the human design that other people will not find because they're not closed. And I think this can be very, very challenging. I've watched this on Facebook where I've seen someone who's not so successful, then they become successful. They hit even this seven figure mark where
Mhm.
people go, "Oh, I'm on seven figures." No one's going to know, by the way, listeners, what I'm earning. That's not important because it's who I'm helping that's more important. I like the people who are just willing to share what their magic is as opposed to
Mhm.
beating their own chest and sharing how amazing they are because they have experience. I want to know who you are. And if you have
Mhm.
changed because of experience, that's a problem, right? Because you should be like in all faith, like when you think about God, like none of us are going to know the truth at the end of the day. So we have to keep learning. We have to keep discovering and keep finding ourselves falling off path, jumping on path, finding out what the path is. And that's
Right.
something we have to keep learning. And I think this can be very, very challenging because the deafness out of all of those three can be the hardest, I think. You can be blind and someone like you can open someone's eyes, which is fantastic. But
Yes.
if they're deaf, they got no chance of resurrection of who they need to become. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And I think one thing that people don't realize, it doesn't matter if you're religious or not, but people are, I want to put it nicely because I don't know your crowd. Normally with my crowd, I'm just giving it as raw and as real it is. So most of us aren't confident to stand in our own shoe, to stand for what we desire and actually mean. So that's why you get certain media pushing all these narratives. But when you look on the street, there is no reflection of that, right? So I'm religious, you're religious. Oh, you must be hating us. What do you mean? I'm just living my life. I'm praising God. Oh, you don't believe in religion, so you suffer every day. You must be depressed. What do you mean? He's living their life. So people have so much preassumptions,
Yeah.
and it's all based on we're basically afraid. Who do I become if I open up? Who do I become if I let the current me go?
Mm.
Because we don't have tangible blueprint. In your work, I mean, you probably have your clients ask me or tell you, right? I'm afraid that if I change, I become an asshole. I'm afraid if I change, I turn into a bitch. Well, if that's what you are, money just amplifies, right?
It sure does. Sure does. And I think I look, there's another part I'd love to ask you around this. I think when I've watched, there's a couple of people I'm thinking about right now who their self-esteem was so low when they before they became successful. And there's another part, I think people get really, really frightened of going back to where they were. So they actually go deaf to the terror, the sheer terror of going backwards again. And so they can end up becoming very strong and forthright. And when I watch people on the scale, they'll listen to a person to go, who's up here, and this is who they're listening to, who's above them, going, don't listen to the people below you because they don't have ears that listen. So again, they're only listening to the people who are hitting another narrative to scale up. So then they actually forget the people who they were. They're terrified of becoming that person again. So they ignore those people, and this is where the gap comes. It's like you know, lower class, middle class, and upper class. It's
Yeah.
subconsciously sits through the human psyche, and you watch people go, "Oh, I'm middle class now," but there's an upper class telling me I can get up here, right? And so it creates this. I'm not going to listen to the lower class in quotes anymore. Once people feel, I guess, good about themselves, and I know from having years of experience working with so many clients that I should be this arrogant dude by now. And that actually scares me more than anything is becoming a person with no ears.
And that's the blueprint that society put on us.
Mm.
Um, A lot of people forget is that to heal, you need someone who is like you, breathing, living, going into the depths of not themselves, but also other people. If you have done it with one or two people, that's nice, but you don't have the experience and the skills to help more people. And they're like, my friends are not supporting me. My husband, my wife is not supporting me. Oh, duh. I mean, they're not the professional. They're there for the top layer. But if you want to change, you can't put that onto your best friend, your wife, your girlfriend, husband. They're not for that.
No.
And I think, people need to understand, like you, the example you just give, you go from low class to middle class. That's where you're surviving because if you're born into the middle class, you don't have the survival mechanism of someone who came from the low class to the middle class.
Yeah.
Someone who's rich and got broke, they can become rich again because they have seen opportunities and possibilities. But if somebody started at low, they need so much reconditioning that they're like, oh, so somebody can actually pay me $50 for an hour for what I do? No way, I don't believe you. Versus someone who is middle class or higher. Like I've done consulting job. When I started first, they're like, your hourly rate is $120. I was like, why am I only getting paid 25? They're charging the clients 100 plus. And I think we need to be more kind. And that's what I'm trying to say. We have these different layers, yes, but people looking up, they can't be relating to it. At least that's what I believe. What about you?
Yeah, I think look, it's really interesting how it all works. I just I've been lucky enough to be a person who can sit in a room and talk to eight-figure income earners and talk to the person on the street and have no differentiation between the two. Um, so I've always been able to connect, with people in a way that to get them, like as you said, to mold into where someone is, so I can understand them and why they tick. I remember I lived in Vancouver for a while in Canada, and I used to take people down the worst street in Vancouver, and there would be all the people who were, heroin junkies and all of those sorts of people. I walked down the street and I was a ghost because I wasn't frightened. I felt like I could just blend in.
Mhm.
And my mate would be next to me, would be like, "Do you want some drugs? Do you want this? Do you want that?" And he'd be white as a ghost, just like terrified of what is just happening there. And I think we just need to learn to understand that, the more you hold kindness and care of whatever position someone is in, the healthier this planet will be. Whether you believe in faith or whatever it is that you do, as you said, we've got to learn to hit that and do that really well. That comes down to a diversified brain. Your brain has to be open. It can't be shelving its rules
Right.
on things. If it's an open brain, the system's open. So then it can understand where people are coming from. So then you can help them in the best possible way. So if you've got an 8-figure income earner and a person living off the street, what I've figured out is they actually want the same things,
Right.
but they're just coming from a different angle, and
100%.
and they're no different. And it's quite interesting when you're like, there's a guy who I know who's very, very wealthy. He said, "I'm just not good enough, Jason. I just don't feel good enough." I'm like, okay, same as the person who can't feed themselves. No difference. And unworthiness is, it doesn't matter. The people who are highly rich are saying more is not enough because they're worried about losing everything, and they actually have a poverty mindset, and people don't even know that. I find it really
Right.
interesting how people tick, but they only tell me around the corner what's really going on because everyone's a little bit too
Right.
frightened to tell the truth.
Uh, it just reminded me of one person that he was so successful. I won a workshop lottery to talk to this person. So there was a workshop, and in that workshop they gave away like four four calls of 15 minutes with this top salesperson.
Uh-huh.
I got in this conversation with him. I don't know. It just he says, Osman, listen, you just got to suck it up and do it. I am freaking successful. I'm competing with the number one in the company. I'm sometimes number one, sometimes that asshole is the number. Sorry for the language. He's the one. He says, I have cars, hobby, golf. We're just putting money down the drainer in the weekend, showing off how much bottle we can buy. I have a hot wife. I got a kid. But I can tell you, there is no weekend in the last 4 years, I think he said, or 3 or 4 years, that I haven't thought about committing suicide.
Mm.
I was like, damn, dude. Like, I was like, why do you unload this onto me? Like, that's fucking depressing, man. He's like, you know what keeps me going? I'm like, tell me, what's your secret? He's like, I know if I die, I won't be number one. That asshole gets to be number one. I won't allow that. I was like, I don't know what's going here, but please stay on that. Don't kill yourself. You got a wonderful life. People would kill to have that.
Mm. But it's interesting. We've had, I know two people who are one who's very, very well known, who has committed suicide very recently, who has been a major influencer for business coaches and so many people. And he topped himself off just a couple of months ago. And this is so common in personal development, especially in the business coaching world, because they don't feel like they can say what's really going on in their mind. They go around to someone like yourself, and you have this, "I'll listen to everything that's your problem" on your forehead, right? And so they just open up and tell you what's really going on. And this is a really beautiful part about you, Osman, to come into a environment where you have that capacity be to create safety. Is the best way I can explain what someone like yourself does, is that you create environments for safety, so it doesn't matter whether someone is poor, someone is rich. The person who is the most rich tends to be the most poor because there's no difference. They just can buy stuff, but they're not happy. And then they come and see you, and they tell you the real things that are going on. And I this is what I find really disappointing in the world, Osman, is that it they have to go around the corner and tell people like us. They say, I'll tell Osman because he's safe, but then I'll go out into the world and put my chest beater on, put my army uniform on, and just let everyone know what everyone needs me to look like and share, while they come around the corner and tell us, hey, this is actually my major issues and problems. And I think this is really systemic in this world right now, is how can people like you and I expose, you know, real and share what's
Mhm.
real when the world doesn't know how to do that? What do you think we need to do as a society to actually start allowing ourselves to become more real and to not hide behind and connect with people like us, to be able to share they have problems and be okay with it?
Yeah. uh, to close the story that I shared, I was supposed to get coached by him. He just offloaded and he cut the call on the 15-minute mark. I was like, okay. So I didn't end up working with him. I wasn't expecting, he just dumped it on me, closed the call. And you just mentioned, Osman, you make people safe. That's why they open up. For years, I hated that about me. I want to be honest with people here. For years, I hated about myself. I was like, what am I that I attract all these hurt people that are coming in, the successful people that just come in, dump their shit, feel good, and move on with their life. I hated that, really. So if there are healers in your audience listening, right? I want you to know I'm being very honest. Maybe you had that as well. I hated until I realized, I, as a religious person, I said, God put me on this journey. God is sending these people. For years, I wasn't looking, I was just volunteering. It took me years to accept that. And why am I explaining this? The same people that are showing off, running business coaches, their safety zone. So I was feeling, that's where they are safe. They need that kind of attention.
Yes.
And, I think to a degree, if we want to help them to get out, it's to create an environment where super aggressive sharks get punished. As the reality is in business, the thriving innovation happens because there is an aggressive shark.
Mm.
Like Zoom just grew out of nowhere because pandemic happened. Otherwise, something wouldn't happen. Like Zoom wouldn't be this big. Nvidia is blowing up because AI is blowing up. It's you understand this, right? You're really deep into this topic. So I'm really trying to come from, there is no ABC solution. We need to level up people more. That's where we get it. But we cannot, I believe that we cannot expect from business um, to be too soft because people that enter the market, they're conditioned to look for a shark, for someone who's confident, for someone who's constantly showing up and sharing the results. Uh, that's my opinion. What about yours?
Yeah, I think we need to start looking for dolphins. It'd be much nicer, a little bit more playful. Yeah, but you're right. It's just
Yeah.
we look for someone who has the confidence, and I've been. I remember there's. I won't say who it was, but I paid 25K to get some help from a business person, and I was going to go on stage with him, and I couldn't because of my integrity and what I found out about the person. So I had to not. I couldn't get on the stage with the guy. So I'm very, very integral in the way that I approach. And I just, there's no way from the things that I found out, I was able to actually spend time with a person who was doing the wrong thing, and it was a massive shark, right? So my integrity won that day. I was like, I'd rather waste my money than get
Right.
on stage and get support from
Hmm.
a situation that could have sent me in other ways. It's like taking a backhand deal for something.
Hmm.
When you know something is not healthy, you have to leave
Right.
it. But very few people would have done what I've done and just like, I paid this money to get this X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to
Hmm.
take the X, Y, and Z. For me,
No.
I didn't realize I was with a shark. And once I
Hmm.
realized, I had to leave. I had to leave.
That, like I said in the beginning, there are things that I admire about you, and integrity is one of the things that you show in your posts as well. You know, there are ways that you show it without even speaking about it. And I think people definitely catch and see that as you. Like they see that in you because you're not all about money or fame. There is more to you. There is more that you're looking to fulfill.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised you did what you did, but it's also make me very happy you did.
Mm. Well, I think it's important. It's that, when, like, I want to ask you this question, Osman. You said this word integrity,
Mhm.
and I don't think sharks have that word in place. They don't know how to hold integrity to doing what's right. They have to be right. So my question to you is, and does integrity just take longer to succeed? Does it take longer because you won't take a quick way to get money, to get success? Does it take longer, or is that a belief system? Like, I don't know the answer to this. So, what I have noticed though is the
Mhm.
more integrity that a lot of people have, the less success they get quickly. I've noticed it, but it might be who I hang around, might be my belief system that's running there. It could be.
Mhm.
This is a question I just want to ask and put out there. Does integrity get put on the cross and slaughtered? What happens? What is it about integrity that makes it
Yeah,
harder?
it, so I have experienced three levels of this. Um, the lowest level is when the newcomer gets in the market and is trying to get a job, trying to sign on client, and they learn like the famous "I'm gonna make you 10K in 90 days,"
Oh, I hate
and you
that.
got these. And newbies come in, they get promised the world, and then they're given a sales script where they are suddenly promising, I'm going to help you make 90K. They themselves haven't made it yet. So these beginners, they're like, let me put integrity aside and push this because my coach said, believe in the system. You got this, do this, right? So they put integrity parking somewhere, chasing a wild goose, a dream, and hoping that it works. People in the middle that were, let's say, for me, the middle, because of it's like 20, 50K, right? With them, the integrity is linked to their fears, multiple fears. You're familiar with, well, they promised you something. They're like, I'm gonna deliver this, just pay me this. And something is going on in their life. Everything is back to back going bad, and they can't deliver. And then suddenly they don't keep their word anymore because everything got too much for them. So suddenly a person that was really good is backstabbing other people, not because he or she turned evil, but it got too much here.
Mm.
So they're just taking the easy way out. And the people on the top level, it doesn't matter how much money they're making, the top level who are definitely abusing the word integrity, I think they're sociopaths. My assumption is where they market integrity on purpose, preying, on the people that are triggered by these and are easily sold to it.
Right.
When they have enough money, they just boot everyone, get into the bigger ring where more people are like that and grow faster.
Mm.
Like if you're in the middle, everything is going wrong, and you're like, okay, you know what? I promised you, Jason, that I will give you your money back if I can deliver. Is it okay if you work with me? Like, give me 6 months, you know? I'm not gonna ditch you. I just need the time to make money and pay you back. Those people, most of the day, don't get the time. They get more kicked. Hey, you promised this. Where is it? That's how I look at uh, how people are running.
Mm. Yeah, it can be interesting. It's just looking and seeing the diversity of how people are. Like I know people who have integrity, who are right at the top of the chain. I've worked with them, and I've worked with ones that are not. So we got to figure it out. At the end of the day, um, how do we know? We don't. You go and sign up with someone, and then you find out. Um, and
Yeah,
no matter how much intuition I have, I quite often, you're going to get, you know, quite often
that's your lesson.
you get the lesson and the experience, so you can do the right thing. And I think, that word integrity, Osman, I hope I haven't, but I don't really look at myself and say I'm integral. I don't write that on Facebook. I think integrity is for other people to decide whether we are or not. It's not our decision, right? To say I'm an integral person because I do X, Y, and Z. It's
Mhm.
like I've had countless people say I'm the most integral person they've ever met, but that's
Mhm.
for them to decide. If I'm trying to convince someone I'm integral, then I think I might be out of integrity. I think there might be an issue with me because I'm trying
Yeah.
to tell someone that I'm this and that. But if you're constantly having someone share with you, like if someone, I remember when I had some people telling me some things this year, and I get a little bit uncomfortable with the feedback sometimes. Because my first thing, if someone says, "Oh my God, you're the best thing since bread was made," first thing I think is, how can I be better? Right?
Yep.
I constantly am thinking, no, there's some loose screws here in my brain. I need to tighten those up. So I look at tightening one of those loose screws up to make myself even better. So when someone actually says I'm X, Y, and Z, I
Mhm.
say thank you, while at the same time I'm looking at my weaknesses and turning them into strengths. Because I know none of us have that full integrity that we have. So what I do is I quite often look and go, what am I missing to make sure I can
Mhm.
improve? And if I can do that, then potentially more people will give me that feedback. But that's not the reason why I'm doing it. I'm trying to do it so I can be a better man.
Yeah, and you know, so let me formulate this. What you just said, if someone who didn't know you listened and they go like, ah, he can't accept a compliment. He must work on his confidence or self-acceptance,
Yeah,
right? But then what you're do, I read it from somewhere. I don't know if it was related to Elon Musk or someone else, but he said everyone that is crazy and getting really successful in life, they constantly ask themselves, what can I do better?
yeah,
And it doesn't come from weakness, it comes from strength because they literally want to improve.
yeah.
Uh, then you're right with integrity or any other word. When others tell you, it has more market value. It makes us also, as the receiving part, feel really good about ourselves.
Mm.
So I want to give an example, right? The eighth wonder, they say, is rent. Sorry, not rent. What do you call it? When you loan money, interest. The eighth wonder is interest, right? And I think integrity is interest that gets loaned. Because when the market learns that you're not a reliable person, your business, your market value collapse, but can be also built up very quickly because if you are in the right, around the right people, you truly help them. This is also something that can grow exponentially that's what I believe.
So, Osman, if we wanted to like if someone's stuck, not knowing what to do around their life, is there like a really nice, easy piece of advice that you could give them to help them move a little bit? I
Yeah.
know we all need help, right? We all need help, and I think that's the fastest way. A lot of people don't want to do that. What's a like a quick sort of gift that you can give some of our listeners here to look at, what they can do to improve themselves?
Yeah. Very straightforward, very simple. You grab your phone, put it on airplane mode, set a timer for 5 minutes. You grab pen and paper, and I mean pen and paper, not keyboard, not touchscreen, pen and paper. You got to engage your muscles. And you're gonna write a why question. What are you struggling most with, or what are you trying to get clarity on? By the way, this is something that I learned from Simon Sinek's book, uh, but I made it, turned it into a little bit of mine. You take your big question and you turn it into a why. Can you give me a question as an example, or a struggle or a problem?
Okay. How how can I break my belief that I'm never going to get any further than where I am now? That's
Right.
a really good
So
question
you
for people.
you write that question down. And then you start the timer. 5 minutes going. You have the pen ready. Whatever flows from here and here, you'd write it down. Regardless of it makes sense or if it's related or not. For full 5 minutes, you just write things down. After five, don't look at your phone. The reason you set an alarm up because you want to hear the noise. I don't want you to check your phone constantly. If you're hitting an ideal spot, read the question. Read it loud out. Why am I not able to break or grow further than where I am now? Repeat that question until you get a thought flow and write that down. The first 2 minutes, that's where most people, including myself, struggle because your brain needs to remove the filter, the judgment, and everything. And then it's going to flow. After 5 minutes is over, you're going to look at the paper. Repeat the question one more time to yourself, and you look at the paper, and you're going to pick the answer that you resonate the most with. Doesn't matter if you can relate to it, if it's you think it's bullshit or whatever. Just look at what resonates with you and turn that into a why question. So for example, the answer was because I got bullied. Okay. Then you turn it into the why question. Why does me have being bullied prevent me from growing? You turn again, you start the timer for 5 minutes. If you can do this for 3 times, great. If you do this 4 times, better. 5 times, super. Because the fourth or the fifth time, you hit the root cause. Be prepared. It's you meeting your real feelings. meaning your mind is going to try to distract you, try to remind you of things that you need to do. Don't fall for it. Write it down. At the end, you will have a clear reason or the root cause.
Yeah, I love that. So that's a really, really, really easy strategy to do. And that might be something, listeners, that you could do before you go and catch up with Osman. They'll have to do less effort to support you, because I think a lot of the time when you're working with clients, the ones that put effort in the most are the ones that are going to get the most results out of a person like you or I. We can only do so much, but it really comes down to, if someone's going to put the work in, then they're going to get far better results from someone like yourself who has the skills to help someone turn around. If someone's not going to move with you, then they're not going to get anywhere with you. So I think this is a great strategy for anyone to do, pen and paper, because I know what you're saying here is that when you're doing it with a pen or a pencil, it's coming with your energy, right? It's being drawn.
Mm.
And I think this old school way of approaching really, really does help, is using your own way of writing rather than using your keyboard, because it's easy to type stuff out and then it disappears. You save it somewhere and it's gone. But
Yeah.
it's a really good way of approaching. I agree.
Can I break that down just from my perspective, how I think?
Sure.
So, as a kid, you learn to write. And as you're learning to write, you are invested with your energy. Some of I hated writing. I was like, I sometimes I would cry and I had to write because my mom was like, you have to write, otherwise you're not gonna pass. You, as a kid, you have these raw energies and feelings invested into writing. But then you move over to using a keyboard, using whatever you want to call it, and you start to use your both hands. You have right hemisphere, left hemisphere, they're working for different reasons, right? When you if you can type with your 10 hands, your feelings aren't into it unless you're writing a poem or a film, right? 80% of the time, our feelings are not into what we're typing. And you frame the why question and you want to dig deep into your inner world. And doing that on a screen with a keyboard where we are usually multitasking, any pop-ups that's coming on, checking the time more very frequently, even if it's subconscious. These are all little details that breaks the effectiveness of answering the why question. So if you do it one day on the computer, 3 days later, remind yourself and do it with pen and paper and look at the answers. I bet you will see very different answers because how your body and energy is engaging.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. So, Usman, I'm really grateful to spend time with you today. So, listeners, I'll get Usman's details. So if you want to get in touch with him, they'll be in the show notes, so you can get in touch with this beautiful man. He's an amazing human who helps lots and lots and lots of people, and he's really gifted. So if you're feeling this sense of what it is to to learn from someone and grow with someone like Usman, please do get in touch with him. And I really want to thank you, Osman, for jumping on Uncovered today and hanging out with me.
I appreciate you for having me here. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for who you are. And regardless of who you are, what your beliefs are, how you show yourself, this is really from the heart. I'm not, scratching your back, you're scratching. No, this is not it. I really want to say from the time that I have seen you until now, you haven't changed. You're still the same kind of energy, still the loving person that extends these things. And I hope that this becomes more powerful and stays on for the years to come.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you for listening, everyone, and I look forward to your journey and that experience that people get to have with an extremely kind, caring human being, helping this planet become better. And this is what this is all about: uncovering really, really good humans who want to make a difference that's beyond themselves. And this is you, Osman. So thank you for hanging out with me today and providing your wisdom for all of our listeners today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We'd love it if you could like and share it with your friends. Our website address is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We also have all of the videos on YouTube under Wellness Breakthrough Academy as well. We also do small courses, live events. I have an amazing book called From Broken to Breakthrough. We'd love the opportunity to give you a hand to help you live your purpose, to find out what you're here for, to give you the direction. Our courses are amazing and we do everything really, really differently than what's happening in the world at the moment. So come and find out how we can help you break your limitations so you can live the life of your dreams. We'll chat soon.